to listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 297 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. We got one more week of racing. We've got 3 more shows to do for this year. I am so excited to be here tonight with you guys. Lots to do, lots to talk about. If you've been listening, which I hope you have, you know the last few shows have been dedicated to you, the listeners. We're continuing that out through episode 300 because if it's not for you guys, I'm not here. So I am very grateful, thankful for all of you. And like I said, we got a lot to do tonight. We've got some listeners to talk to. We've got our Final Four, all that good stuff. But I mean, I got to do a weekend recap, and it was a good weekend. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Friday, it's been unseasonably warm here in Michigan, the metro Detroit area, which I will take. So Friday did a little barbecuing after the real job. And Saturday had some friends over for the big Michigan State game. And I know there's plenty to talk about with that, the actual game and post-game shenanigans, which I'm sure you've all heard and have seen by now if you're on social media. So I'm sure Aaron and Brian and Brian and Aaron are both going to be on to wrap it up. I'm sure we'll talk some football later on in the show. And Sunday went and suffered through another miserable Lions game, left at halftime, because even though they were up, we just knew what was going to happen. And of course, that is what happened. And hey, they just traded our overall 8th pick from 3 years ago to the Minnesota Vikings, TJ Hawkinson. So apparently they've thrown the towel in as well, much like I have on my fantasy football leagues this year. So there's that. And it is November 1st, Lap Traffic Nation. And if you've been around the show for a few years, you know that I am a Christmaholic, and I have pulled out the Christmas trees. I have all of the bins pulled out. It is a process here in the Crowd household to decorate for Christmas. I actually have Friday off, a 3-day weekend to get all, it ends up being somewhere between 10 to 12 trees, all ranging from 4 foot all the way up to a 12-foot tree that will be put up. A massive Christmas display on the ledge upstairs. It is a thing. I always tweet pictures out, and I will. So it is officially Christmas season here. Thanksgiving is just a day to have some awesome food, and it is 2 months of Christmas palooza here in the Crowd household. So very excited for that. Very excited for Alden to see Christmas and all that good stuff. And he was a Lion for Thanksgiving, was able to get him around the block yesterday, which was great. The weather finally stopped raining. It was, again, unseasonably warm. I tweeted a picture of him out. If you liked it, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay. There's that. We've got some great listeners on. Scott, Jesse, Donna going to be on tonight. Like I mentioned, Brian and Aaron are going to be on. We've only got one more week of the Lucky Dog Lap Down segment, and we've got the Fantasy Final Four. Who made it to the Final Four in Lap Traffic Fantasy? After over 100 and some players, we're down to our Final Four. Did I make the cut? I don't know. We'll have to find out here towards the end of the show. So let's get things rolling. Let's get our first caller on. You probably follow her. She does a lot of giveaways. She's a great follow on Twitter. Let's talk to Donna at I Love Fast Tracks. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. She's been following for a long time, always a supporter of all the giveaways and all that good stuff. She's been to Martinsville this past weekend. She's going to Phoenix. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast. Donna, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Great to hear from you, and thanks for asking me to be on.
Absolutely. I
love sharing my love for NASCAR.
Yes. And for everyone that doesn't know Donna, you can follow her on Twitter at ILUV Fast Tracks. She's a great follow, does a ton of giveaways. Donna, one of the things that I absolutely love is you try to give back. I mean, you're a fan yourself, but you really do try to give back to the NASCAR fans, whether it's with tickets or experiences, giveaways yourself, and that's just awesome. I mean, that's what this fan base is so cool.
Well, I like to share. I want to bring everybody into this that I can. You don't know what you're missing if you don't go to the track or enjoy some of it. This last weekend, I invited somebody into the Blue Emu Suite with me. I had an extra ticket, and I found a young man standing in line to get Brad Keselowski's autograph who was sleeping in his car.
Wow.
He had no jacket, but he was a diehard NASCAR fan, and I bought him a hoodie.
That's incredible.
He just messaged me and asked me to look him up for next year.
That's great. I mean, what better story than that? That's just incredible. Let's see, Donna, you and I, we met for the first time this past summer at MIS, which was awesome. That was your first time at the track, and
yes,
we had a good time out there.
Yes, we did, other than getting wet for a while.
We did get wet, but hey, we got the race in. It's okay.
Yeah, it was better than the freezing cold in Martinsville in the spring.
Yes. All right. Well, let's talk about Martinsville. I mean, what an incredible race weekend. Martinsville is becoming a staple of we know what we're going to get. We're going to get some form of excitement, and it didn't disappoint. It was an interesting Xfinity race, and ending there, we saw some hatred between teammates, and then we saw an incredible sign of respect between Allgaier and Allmendinger. What did you think of the Xfinity race that we got on Saturday?
I was sitting there watching and thinking, gosh, this is so uneventful, so boring. So, just I wanted to see a little more action, but of course, the ending made up for that.
Absolutely.
The follow the leader thing to me is I just can't get into that.
We used to see a lot of that at Talladega when Talladega was at a different spot in the playoffs, because I think for a while there, Talladega was the end of the second round, and we used to see a lot of follow the leader just so people had a shot to be there at the end, and I totally get the fans' frustration from that side of things.
Well, I loved at Talladega. I loved the actual bumping and pushing and everything there. I've been to 14 different tracks, so I've seen incredible. All kinds of racing.
That's awesome. That's very cool. And then Sunday, what did you think of Ross Chastain and his move around the outside there?
I was sitting there in awe because it was like unbelievable. I can't believe I'm seeing this.
Where were you at in perspective? Where were your seats at?
Well, when we had left the suites and started down.
Okay.
Down back into the infield. So I got to see some of it. I don't get into that crowd at the end. There's so much going on with the team members and stuff.
Sure.
And I do know a lot of the team members, but I did speak to Ross before the race that day.
Okay.
He was pretty excited.
Yeah.
And who knew that this was going to happen? Right. I mean, nobody expected it. It might never happen again, but I think it was better than the pass in the grass. Sorry.
Oh, I'm with you. Because who would have thought, I don't know that move works anywhere else other than Martinsville. It's not working at Bristol. It's not going to work at Phoenix. I mean, that is the only place to have timed it so perfectly to where, he barely clipped him. He barely beat Hamlin. And I've rewatched that 30 times on Sunday. I rewatched it before I talked with you here. Like, it is just one of those incredible moments in our sport.
Yeah, and he tapped Brad too.
Yeah.
So
Yep. That he did.
He's a gutsy guy.
He is.
When he first started out and then he had a ride and then he didn't have a ride, I was so bummed out. But I'm glad he's where he is now.
I think, I've talked about it for a good chunk of the year here in terms of, like you mentioned there, when he didn't have a ride and then he was racing in the truck series with Nice Motorsports, like everyone was on the Ross bandwagon, and he made a lot of people mad this year. But I think he won over a chunk of the fan base on Sunday, and I think he's going to have a good fan base on Sunday cheering for him because of what he did at Martinsville.
I believe so too. I mean, I'm going to be there. I hope there's watermelons everywhere.
That would be absolutely incredible. There's no doubt about that. When are you leaving? Where are you staying? What's your plans for Phoenix?
Well, I have my friend Patty coming in from Michigan and my daughter Diana that lives here in Colorado. It's an 11-hour drive. We're leaving 5:00 Thursday morning. We're staying in Goodyear, which is not really close to the track.
Okay.
We've got VIP for the weekend, so we're going to be in the garages and stuff again.
Excellent.
So we'll be there for the full 3 days.
Very cool.
And meeting up with a bunch of other friends. I've made a lot of friends this last weekend, and I hope to make a few more down there. And
you got to try to not make friends at a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're there, everyone, I mean, it's like you said, if you've never been to a race, it is just an incredible atmosphere. You can have some good ribbing with, a fellow fan that's not supporting your driver, all in good fun. There's always great food. I mean, it's just an incredible weekend.
It's absolutely had a guy walk up to me Saturday evening and said, "You're Donna." And I said, "Yeah." And I had posted, I don't know if you saw, I had a rough time getting to Martinsville. I had 20 hours with flight delays and cancellations and no rental car. And when I finally got there, I had 1 hour of sleep before I left for the track. And this guy walked up and he says, "I live an hour from here." And he says, I know you off of Twitter. And he says, "I told my wife I should come and come and get you. And she told me, no, you don't know that lady." And he says, "Well, now I can tell my wife I know you."
Excellent. Yes. Oh, that's a great story.
But anyway, I'm expecting some great racing all weekend long.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to all 3 series. Last year was great.
Do you got some picks? Who's your picks for all 3 series?
Well, you know what? I think Zane Smith's going to take trucks.
Yeah. I mean, now that I'm surprised John Hunter did not make the Final Four, and since he didn't, I'm with you. I see it either Zane Smith or from a fan perspective, Ben Rhodes and Victory Lane for another championship would be incredibly entertaining and awesome.
Yeah. And I've got my fingers crossed for Justin Allgaier.
Yes.
He's been around a long time. He deserves it. He's worked hard all these years. And as much as I like the other drivers, yes, I think I would like to see Justin in Victory Lane and take the trophy. So
I think that would be very cool. Long overdue, like you said. I was rooting for the Dinger, but now that Dinger's out, yes, I'd be A-okay with an Allgaier victory as well.
Right.
And then the big dance on Sunday, what do you think?
Well, you know what? I've always been a Penske fan, and I was there when Brad won his championship at Homestead. I have a lot of crew guys that I know on different teams, and as much as I want Joey, I think I want to see the watermelons flying.
Right? Why not now? Let's do it.
Yeah. I might have to take one from here.
Oh, that would be very cool.
I'll smash it in the parking lot.
Oh, that would be very cool. I think you need to do it. And then once you get to the car, before you leave, you need to do a video on Twitter. That would be, I just might have to do that. I'm at Walmart. I'm at Walmart getting groceries and stuff to take. So I'm going to go in and buy a watermelon. It might not be a big one, but. I love it. That's great. Donna, tell everyone once again where they can follow you on social media.
Well, I'm on Twitter at I Love Fast Tracks. I'm on Facebook at Donna Lee Musgrave, and I'm on Instagram at I Love Fast Tracks.
Awesome. Donna, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the support of the show and helping counting down to episode 300 here. I hope you have a smoother travels, safe travels, and an absolutely incredible time this weekend.
Well, thank you thank you for letting me share a little bit of my insight.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everybody, and I hope to see some of you guys down at Phoenix.
Absolutely, and we'll see you next year, Donna.
All right. Thank you, Brendan. Bye-bye.
Oh, how awesome to talk to Donna. Great human being. Just an absolute humanitarian for the sport and in general. So great to talk to Donna. look for her at the track. And like I said, just a great person, which is awesome. I just want to highlight a couple things here before I get to the next caller, and just want to go over just some things personally here in reference to where we're at headed into Phoenix. I love our truck Final Four. I'm bummed that Grant Enfinger's not in it. I'm bummed John Hunter's not in it. And that's not to say any personal vendetta against Stuart Friesen or Christian Eckes. But no wins for Christian. Stuart Friesen kind of had a ho-hum season, if you will. I think you can make the case that John Hunter should be in it, but he just was boom or bust this year, and he busted more times than he boomed. If that's a saying, maybe that should be on a t-shirt at some point there. But, I think all four that are in it have a realistic chance to go out there and do damage. They are in any given, we'll call it Friday night winner, if you will. I think all four of them have a shot. And I think I mentioned it last week that I love the fact that you've got your defending champ in it and contending to defend and go back to back. To me, that's I love when that happens. I love it when it happens in the stick and ball sports, and I love that it's happening here in the Truck Series. We haven't had back-to-back Truck Series champs in a minute, so if that happens, cool. If not, we'll crown a new one, and all will be lovely. So I'm excited to see what happens there from the Truck Series perspective. From the Xfinity Series perspective, I mean, I was blown away by the move. To be honest with you, I know Ty has taken some heat over the course of the season, and some of it maybe deserved, some of it maybe not so deserved. I understand that a driver and a young driver needs the wins to help further the career, to help further the sponsorships, to help further the equipment that you can get in. But Ty's pretty well set, just in terms of what's going to happen there. I was very surprised knowing that he was already in for the championship. Championship means more than a win, I feel like. And I know, yes, he got the win and very well may go get the championship. And I understand it's an individual sport for the most part, even though they're all part of a team. I was just surprised. If it would have been anybody other than a teammate, I maybe would have even been able to buy into it even more, but the fact that it happened to a teammate, I am very surprised by the move. He could be our next Kyle Busch out there. Who knows? And, 10 years from now, maybe everybody is loving him. I was just surprised by it. I would say I absolutely love that. Obviously, Noah Gragson just had a dominant year, and it's no surprise that he's there with 8 wins. I love the Cinderella story with Josh Berry to, not even being a speck on the radar to, racing part-time, picking up a win at Martinsville a couple years ago to now being in the playoffs, and racing for the championship. I think that's a great story, and I love that. And Justin Allgaier is another great story, someone that went from Cup down to Xfinity. Him and AJ Allmendinger just have such a similar story. I would have loved for both of them to be out there competing for the championship. And, Dinger's going to be back in Cup, which is very cool. It would have been awesome to see him get that championship for Kaulig Racing. But no knock. I love the show of respect that the two of them had after the race, which was very cool. And we got another great one lined up for Saturday with the Xfinity Series. Over to the Cup side of things. Oh my gosh. We all know it. We all saw it. It was incredible. What a unique Final Four that we have. Preseason, pre-play, Joey Logano, yes, I could believe that he's in the Final Four. Chase Elliott, yes, I could believe he's in the Final Four. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, wouldn't have been a blip on the radar for me. I just, great Cinderella stories as well. And I love it. I love what Ross did. it was either, hey, he either wasn't going to make it at all based on his finishing spot, or he was going to go for broke. He went for broke, and it paid off. And I loved seeing the drivers' reactions as it was going on. The in-camera video, audio. Like I said, 2022 from a number of different drivers' perspectives, the races that we got. This is a year we're going to be talking about 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We're going to be referencing and going back and comparing, driver wins and stats to this year. We're going to be looking at this year as just such a unique year. Yes, we've had a ton of injuries, and that's the one downfall to the year. But regardless, 2022 is something we're going to be talking about for a very long time. And this past weekend, Ross Chastain and his move to get into the Final Four, last lap, Martinsville, is just the icing on the cake to an incredible ending of a season. I love everything about it. I know there were some drivers that right after the race said they wanted to regulate it to where that can't happen. I absolutely hope NASCAR does not do that. It would be a shame. And given the opportunity, I think now that it has been done, there's going to be guys that are going to want to go and try it. And it's just going to add to the level of excitement of the playoffs and of Martinsville. And this was a very special moment that we all got to witness on Sunday. And I think it's going to just culminate even more perfectly this weekend at Phoenix to close out the season. As we're wrapping up here with 3 more shows to go, I couldn't be more amped. I couldn't be more excited. It's just going to be beautiful. It's beautiful. That's what it is. And I love it. I love it. Okay. Let's do some Lap Traffic social media. We've got a couple more listeners that are going to call into the show. We've got weather. We've got the Lucky Dogs. We've got fantasy. But let's do, I think last week we did social media very late in the show. Let's do it a little early this week to make sure we get it in. Everybody, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, YouTube, Lap Traffic Podcast, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. Leave a review. Check out the show. Tell your friends. I am going to do a big giveaway here. I've done some giveaways over the last couple weeks. I'm going to do a massive giveaway, and the winner will be picked on episode 300. I'll either get it out this week or next week, and we'll have a huge giveaway. I know At Atlanta Racing is going to do a giveaway as well with some things that I sent over to them. There may be a diecast involved. It may be a Chase Elliott diecast involved. Just a little teaser there. So let's see if we can't build up some new followers here closing out the season. Give some stuff away. I will definitely do some hats. I might even pick 2 winners. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have enough time. I don't know. We'll find out. But we'll figure it out. That's for sure. A couple new followers. Chris Cosick at Chris Cosick, a radio host out of LA, which is really cool. Derek Yoder at picks_by_blaze, a NASCAR betting analyst. And he's got a hole-in-one in golf. That is the one thing that has eluded my golf career, is a hole-in-one. Closest I've come is probably, let's call it 18, 24 inches on a par 3. And man, I get one of those. Oh, I wouldn't hang it up, but damn, I wouldn't care whatever my scores were after that, just because I'm pretty happy with where my golf game is at. So man, if I could get a hole-in-one, that'd be very cool. Don't forget stickers and koozies. I've got those for free. All you have to do is fill out the go to the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, fill out the contact page, and I will send them out to you for free. Okay. There is that. I mean, why not? We're shifting things around a little bit here tonight. What do you say we talk to both the Dr. Aaron Studwell and Mr. Brian Neudorff? All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line for the very last weather segment of the season. Not one, not two. The weathermen have assembled. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Mr. Brian Neudorff and Mr. Aaron Studwell. Gentlemen, good evening. How are ya?
Good evening, sir. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Brian, what's going on, my man?
I mean, I'm good. And how much candy tax did you take from your child now that you've had your first fatherly? You aware of candy tax?
I tell you, he just loved the fact that he was out. That it looked like a gloomy day. It was raining off and on. But come 5:30, the sky broke. It was like 60 degrees outside. He loved being outside. He got a kick out of his costume. It was very cool. Very cool.
Looked like he just enjoyed the card too. That was great.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you hand him anything and he is just all about, the inspection process of it. So it's fun to watch that. Very fun. Well, before we get into NASCAR talk, I mean, I think it is officially time to play the Michigan Marching Band. Beautiful music to hear. Mr. Aaron Studwell, what did you think of the game? What did you think of the post-tunnel shenanigans? Where are you at?
Personally, I thought it was a good game. I mean, they're still trying to get their sea legs in the first quarter at times, but just the running game is so dominant.
Yep.
And I hate saying worried. I don't know how this team's defense is going to look against a high-powered offense. And I haven't watched much Illinois this season, but I have watched a lot of Ohio State. So I think our original predictions are going to be right, getting them to be undefeated prior to the Ohio State game. I'm just not sure about after that.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I've watched two Ohio State games. I watched the Penn State game this past weekend, and I watched one earlier in the year. They definitely have some gaps. They're not a perfect team, and I will say the plus on their side is home field advantage. So we'll see there. Brian, did you see any of that game or no?
No, I was already at work, and no, I didn't see any of that Michigan State game. It wasn't until early this morning that I saw the video of the tunnel situation, which I didn't know anything happened until I saw that video, and I'm like, well, that doesn't clear anything up. I don't know what happened. That didn't tell me anything. All I know is that we had a bye, so we didn't lose.
Well, hey, I mean, it's a good week for you guys to have a bye. I mean, it sucks having a bye off a loss, but
we need to increase. We need to heal. Hey, listen, if we can, I'm still the idea that it's very light. You have Iowa, Illinois, Northwestern, and Indiana. Those are your last four games. Us. We could win out and win the West, and then get our asses handed to us by whoever's coming out of the East. But
wow, that'd be something for y'all.
I will say, you should.
And if it's Ohio State, we actually have a real shot. Thank God it's not Wisconsin, which we brought up last week.
Yes, well, I will tell you.
Next week, I think last week we talked about that. We were owned by Wisconsin, so.
If you can't beat Iowa, I mean, they just have zero offense. I mean, that should be the only game I would say would be a struggle for you guys is the Illinois game. And I tell you what, I'm going to be watching that game very closely because then we play Illinois the following week. So,
well, I was wondering if you had money on it already.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. And the spread this week for Maryland is 26.5 it opened at Maryland, but I mean, that should be very doable. That shouldn't be an issue. I'm not concerned about that one. So
I mean, Indiana still squeaked a loss out of that one, but they had that game. And then Purdue played. I mean, the problem about Purdue is, the reason why Iowa scares me is even though they don't have an offense, we make bad offenses look good. Okay, see Nebraska. So,
well, hey, I'm going to have faith for the Boilermakers this week at Iowa. With Iowa, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. We had a crazy weekend this weekend at Martinsville. We had teammates getting wrecked. We had, NASCAR video game caution mode off going on the last lap on Sunday. Brian, what'd you think of it?
Well, I was asleep during it, so the only thing I've seen is the last lap shenanigans.
That's a great
word. It is, but honestly, listen, people are talking about the sport other than somebody wrecking another car.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't. I think it's.
So what I'm saying is you're having more positive coverage than a situation with the Bubba Wallace thing and Larson and stuff like that, where you're using your car. Different things like that. I mean, it'd be like trying to say, I'm of the age of, I remember, Bo Jackson climbing one of the walls to try to make a catch.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to relate this to another sport. Nobody ever said, no, nobody's allowed to climb the wall again and try to catch a ball, because nobody humanly possible can do what Bo Jackson did.
Right.
And more likely, who's really going to try that? I mean, you get lucky one time and it works. I mean, that could have been horribly bad, too.
It absolutely could have.
If that turn 4 gate was open, well, right, and it was. And he did I just need, that's going to be one of my top 2 memories of NASCAR ever. Moment. The other one was
he in? Does anybody know that?
10, maybe?
I was just maybe, sounds right.
Okay, yeah. That's.
And he was definitely looking. He was 10 and outside somewhere, and just the fact that the idea was. I mean, to me, this is literally one of those situations where it's like the no guts, no glory, the Doug Flutie hill.
Absolutely.
You can be a hero, or you can be, absolutely the worst. It could be glory or glory for the wrong reasons.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's a good way to put that.
Yep.
Especially after Halloween.
Aaron, what you were about to say something, and I don't remember where you were.
Yeah, that's now I file that under one of my top 2 memories of the sport. The other one being the Ricky Craven, Kurt Busch finish at Darlington.
Aaron, you and I, the last time you were on, I think we talked about just how, whether it's for good and or bad reasons, 2022 is going to be a season that we are citing for years to come. And, this is just another thing on top of it of just how incredibly awesome, this season is. Yes, we've had some injuries and things of that nature. And, that's the shadow on 2022, but there have been some very cool memories to come out of this year. And who knows what Phoenix is going to hold for us.
That's true. I will. Well, 2 things to share. I actually had a dream that Christopher Bell was on the pole and won the race. So,
oh wow,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Are you putting money on that?
I'd have to find a place to do that, or a broker.
Well, you let me know.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, gambling's legal in Indiana, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're a couple. We keep getting told we're a couple days away. I have the app installed, but
cool.
Yeah, well, yeah. The other thing, I'll ask the 2 of you, and then I'll finish with my answer. What is the most memorable thing of 2022 for NASCAR?
Man, it's hard to say anything other than this, with Ross, and I get that that's cliche because it's the most recent race, but I mean, it was a game changer. I mean, that the last quarter of a lap at Martinsville impacted the championship run. And if he's able to go and win that championship, it's going to make it even more memorable. So, I mean, I don't see how you could pick anything other than this. I mean, I would say maybe a number 2 would maybe be Daniel Suarez picking up the win earlier in the year. But yeah, I mean, this just takes the cake. It was just so cool the way it happened. And I love everything about it.
Brian, what say you?
Well, yeah, I think this is a memory, but I'd also say for me, I mean, I've been busy and still adjusting to new jobs and my time for NASCAR. But I'd also, for me, a memory, and then this is not a good one, but the playoff fiasco, points getting into the playoffs, that whole mess.
Yep.
Because I remember my conversation with Brent when I came on after that, and it's just like, I mean, I'm at this point, and it's been around for so long that I'm still trying to figure out the points and how they work and stuff like that. And it just, I've gone a long time. I understand wins are important, but, the Lions can win a game in an NFL season, but you wouldn't put them in the playoffs just because they won one game.
That was
kind of
a
the same
great analogy.
So.
Yep. No, I love.
I mean,
that.
I mean, it's the season.
The season is so long that there's got to be some reward or some weight, I think, because it is hard in NASCAR, given all the different tracks they go to maintain consistency.
Yep.
So.
No,
I don't want to get into a big playoff point discussion with you, but I see your take, but I don't like the system, but I can see the merits of the system. And ironically, my biggest thing for the year, number two thing after the Ross Chastain, was how many different winners we've had this season.
Yeah.
Yes. That's 16 prior to the regular season, and I think 19 total.
I think I think 19 is the number.
I guess, and I would say a memorable thing is the lack of playoff drivers winning in the playoffs. The first 5 playoff races were either won by someone not in the playoffs overall or had been eliminated in a prior round. Normally we're seeing the playoff contenders, dominate and win the playoff races. And we did not have that this year, all the more adding to the chaos of points battles and position battles and, everything that culminated.
But that squares away with the fact that you've had so many winners this season.
Yep.
Because the fact that there aren't, this new car complaint about it, and maybe that's the complaint, is that literally there's nobody was having a dominant. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe NASCAR drivers who are the successful ones were used to having consistent success, and now they're not having that.
Yeah.
And that's the complaint.
I don't disagree with that.
I agree with you.
All right. We are headed to Phoenix. Last race of the year. Last weather of the year. Let's see. Brian, how are we looking for the truck race on Friday night?
Yes, it's an extremely wet season we've had. I say that sarcastically.
And this is why we need to have it in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but this season also proves, despite the fact that there's going to probably be about half the NASCAR fans who would argue with Aaron and I that this was one of those wet seasons. It wasn't. No. No, good reason to have it in Phoenix. Good reason to have it in Phoenix in November. Overall, yeah, but Friday looks nice. Generally during the daytime, temperatures in the 60s, so relatively cool, but definitely looking very, very dry. So no weather concerns except for maybe sunscreen.
Excellent. All right, Aaron, Saturday, Xfinity.
Sunny skies, high of 68. Well, morning low 46. Bring a jacket. Normal highs are low to mid 80s around this time. It's going to be unseasonably cool out there.
Okay, very cool. All right, the big dance, the Cup Championship Sunday. Brian, how are we looking?
It's going to get real hot. It's going to get in the 70s. No, it should be much warmer, but again, that's nice. It's going to be fall-like, no worries of rain as of right now. Again, I never go 100% this early out, but it definitely looks a very strong signal for it to be dry. So again, we're going to end very well from how most of the season was, which is good for Aaron and I, so we don't have to constantly be watching radar or anything else. We can enjoy some racing and watch the season come to an end.
Excellent. I love it. Well, as the season comes to an end, another season of Lap Traffic is almost in the books. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show, for taking time out of your schedules to make this work week in and week out and have some fun talking, whether it's football, basketball, NASCAR. Thank you for being a part of the ride again for another year, and look forward to doing something next year.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. It's been a great season. Thank you, my friend, for having us back.
Of course.
Yes, thank you. And congratulations for all the episodes you've had.
Thank you. Yes, 297 tonight. We got 3 more to wrap this thing up, and we'll keep pushing strong next year into season 7. So guys, we'll talk to you soon. Stay well. I know we'll talk over the holidays, but enjoy the holidays, and we'll do it again.
Thank you, sir. Go Blue.
See ya. Go Blue. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, there you have the very last time Aaron and Brian on the show this season. Okay, let's do some Lucky Dog lap down picks. I'm going to be honest with you guys, and send me your feedback on your thoughts on this. I The Lucky Dog lap down segment has been around since season 1. It's been here for 6 years, and I am thinking that this segment has run its course. You guys tell me. Now, that's not to say I'm not going to ask for your guys' takes. I've got some ideas that maybe could replace it, a weekly question, so something along those lines. But you guys tell me, do you want Lucky Dog Lap Down in the show next year, or would you like to have a little a freshen up, if you will, for this spot in the show? You guys let me know. We're definitely going to do it for next week, and we'll add the recaps in as well. But let's see here. My Lucky Dogs of the weekend are Michigan and Ross Chastain, Lap Down, Lions, and my fantasy picks. So they're my picks. Let's see. Scott at 1985 Wagner, who you're going to hear from in just a couple minutes. Lucky Dog, Seabell Racing, win it to be in it. Lap down, race itself. Not a lot of passing until the very late. Super Lucky Dog, Ross Chastain, redefining riding the boards. I love it. Brian at Stormin B81, who you heard on last week's show. Lucky Dog, Christopher Bell for getting into the championship 4. Lap down, Denny for being all talk and not taking out the 1. LOL. 83 fan at Waddell 3 Cody. Lucky Dog, Ross Chastain. Lap down, Denny Hamlin. Chris at USMC_NASCAR Fire on last week's show as well. Lucky Dog, Chastain. That was epic. Also, Seabell Racing and Clutch Performance. Lap down, 499.5 laps. Yeah, I talked about it earlier. We see this happen. Guys want to be there at the end, so everyone kind of behaves themselves for a little bit. James at JWW5229. Lucky Dog to both Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain for advancing. No lap down. I could get behind that too. Jason at JA Stone 29. Lucky Dog. I don't care what anybody says, whether you like them or you don't. That one car and that video game move, they called it. Holy crap. That is the Lucky Dog. Never have I ever. Absolutely. Lap down belongs to Denny Hamlin for missing the championship 4 after a dominating run. Jeremy at Living Room War Wagon. A lap down goes to Ty Gibbs. Comparing yourself to Jesus does not play well anywhere. Yeah, there's that. Lucky Dog goes to Ross Chastain doing whatever he can to advance. Hashtag LTFantasy NASCAR. Beautiful. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fan, who you're also going to hear from in a little bit. Lucky Dog, Ross Chastain, still in disbelief over his move. Lap down, Ty Gibbs, dumping a teammate that needed to win. I guess at least they don't have to worry about a penalty for race manipulation. There you go. Kristen at K Haglin 79. Lucky Dog to my guy, Seabell, for making it through to Phoenix. An honorable mention to Chastain. I can't stop watching the replays. Lap down, Ty Gibbs. Need I say more? No, you don't. I get it. Matt at Camper News Net. Lucky Dog, Christopher Bell, must-win situation, getting the job done. Moving on to the championship 4. Additional Lucky Dog, Ross Chastain for making a move that will be one of the top moments in NASCAR history. No lap down. I love it. Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragon. Lucky Dog gets split decision. The 20 winning the round of 4. And the highlight reel we will all watch for the next 30 years. The 1 riding the wall. Lap down. The 11 again. No cup. Beautiful. Tristan at Tristan Cole. Lucky Woofa. That's great. That's fantastic. That Lucky Woofa. That's beautiful. Seabell, guy delivered twice on elimination races. Ross, big balls Chastain. That's beautiful. Pulling off the move to get in the final 4. Totally insane. Lap down. Ty Gibbs for preventing his teammate getting 2 cars into the championship final 4. I love it. Ross, big watermelon balls Chastain. We need to get that over to his PR people for a t-shirt for sure. Okay. All right. We've kind of skipped ahead, jumped around a little bit. I've got 2 more callers for you, as well as some lap traffic fantasy. So stick around. We're not done by a long shot. Let's talk to Jess at Iowa NASCAR fan. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. He's been a longtime follower of the show. He is a weekly contributor to the Lucky Dog Lap Down segment. And unfortunately, this year he had an early exit in the Lap Traffic Fantasy League. You can follow him on Twitter at Iowa NASCAR Fan. It is Jess Rose. What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. Welcome back. It's unfortunately been a minute.
It's been way too long. That fantasy this year, I just couldn't buy a top 5 in all 3 series. So
I hear ya. It's been a struggle. The survey's out. Did you check out the survey yet for the end of the year?
I haven't yet. Gonna get on that this week though. So
excellent. I will tell you that I am really contemplating putting some truck limits in for next year. What do you think about that?
I think first we need to see what the trucks have for drivers in it next year. That could be a huge factor on who there is to pick.
Well, so that's my thing. So I think I would limit it on kind of like I did the Xfinity series is I'd limit it based on owners' points. So if that car number was in the top whatever, then that's where the limit might come into play there. But
and I thought that worked really well this year for the Xfinity, so cool. I think that'd be good.
Cool, awesome, and it'd probably be a two for maybe even a 3 for, as far as limits there for the truck, just so that it's not, like we've had the last couple years, the John Hunter and Zane Smith picks for throughout the league. So. We'll just make it, that big, much more of a challenge for next year. So we'll have some fun with it for sure. All right, man. What's up with your Hawkeyes, man? They struggling there on offense a little bit.
Man, don't have a quarterback, don't have an offense, can only rely on the defense for so much. But when they're on the field 90% of the game, they get tired too. So it's been a real tough year for the Hawks there.
That's the thing. Like, you got to be able to have some parity between sides of the ball. And, the defense is great the first half. But, man, then, like you said, they just end up being out there for so long that – they just get winded, and there's not much more that you can do. So I'll tell you, you guys have I don't have to tell you. You've got Purdue this week, and Brian Neudorff, Mr. Weatherman, is a Purdue guy, and he is pretty confident this week. What do you have to say to that, there, sir?
I probably would be too, but Purdue has Charlie. There is a little more incentive for the Hawkeye defense this week, though, going up against Charlie Jones. He's been in Iowa for the past 3 years and transferred out, so maybe they'll rough him up a little bit.
Yeah, it's just so. I'll tell you, the Iowa game when preseason. I was nervous about that game just because of the fact that was Michigan's first road game. And it was, after the beating that we gave Iowa in the Big Ten championship game, like I was nervous just from a retribution standpoint. Like, we're going to Iowa. They're going to want to just, give us the same ass whipping. And, as we saw that they just, man, that offense, I'm surprised that's what they had to put on the field. And I'm stunned because Iowa is normally they do pretty well from a recruiting standpoint. They're old school football, so they're lineman type on both sides of the ball. So it was very surprising to see what they're doing this year.
The sad part is with a defense like that, we don't need a top offense. We just need one that's middle of the pack and just get the first downs and score 24 to 30 points. And
then let the defense go win the game. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's what you that's got to be so frustrating for the defensive players out there because it's like, dude, we're doing our part. Could you just get a first down? But that's asking a lot apparently. So. Well, man, what did you think of racing this past weekend at Martinsville? It was definitely what we've come to expect and then some.
Yeah, there's definitely going into the weekend, I was a little nervous for the Cup side, and 3/4 of the way through was kind of thinking the same thing. We did see more passing throughout the race, which was definitely a positive. I do think the short track package still needs work.
Absolutely.
But Ross Chastain, wow, not really sure. I had to watch that probably 50 times to put my mind around that it was actually happened and it wasn't a fast forwarded thing. But
right. Like I thought he cut a tire, went up into the wall, and was just going to die. I didn't realize that. Nope, that was all by design, and everything worked out as perfectly as it could have.
I can't imagine what was going through Chase Elliott's mind with them right in front of him and seeing him start that. I bet he was. I heard the spotter go, "What in the hell?" Because that's what I would have been saying too. So
right, and a half a second, later, Denny probably beats him. He could not have timed that any more perfect. And if he had done it any earlier, maybe someone jumps up and tries to throw a block. It was just so perfectly timed, and I'm glad it worked out because it's a great moment to be able to talk about of, hey, remember when and it worked versus, oh, remember when he tried and it didn't. I'm very glad that it was a successful result. It just adds to the narrative, if you will.
It has been a huge week in the mainstream media for the sport of NASCAR, too. I know Larson kind of said it was embarrassing, and I didn't agree with that at all, but I've seen more highlights of that on other sports media that would never even think about talking about NASCAR. It was #1 play on SportsCenter Top 10. Pat McAfee was talking about it. It was on Good Morning America. They were talking about it. So I think it was just huge for the sport all the way around.
Absolutely. Barstool, they obviously do a lot, and it got all over that coverage. It's funny you mentioned Pat McAfee. What do you think of Pat McAfee? Because I absolutely love the guy.
Oh, he's a character. I love listening to him. He just likes to have a good time. Yes. So it's fun to listen to his takes. Some of his takes are kind of out there a little bit, but he's a good time to listen to for sure.
He's somebody that you like. Man, if there was just some random bar that he happened to be at with not a lot of people to where they weren't crowding him to where, man, can we have a beer and just shoot the shit? That's Rob Gronkowski's the same way. There are just certain people that it's man, what I wouldn't give just to have a beer and shoot the shit with you. And he's up there for sure. Oh, I love him on College Game Day. I think he brings a much needed pep to that show because it can get a little mundane. I think 2 hours straight of stats and highlights, and he brings content value, not just from a goofy perspective, but he also can back up it as well with his knowledge. So he knows this. He knows his stuff for sure, and I think his energy level is just something that's been underrated up until this year, and it's good to see him starting to get some more breaks with bigger outlets and really put out a name for himself, except for just what he's done for himself. So absolutely. And he was doing WWE commentary. I was really surprised to hear that he was, that they were, I don't know what they worked out, but for him to be able to work it out to just be like, hey, I'm peacing out to go do football for the season. But I think it's great. It'll only help the exposure back to WWE when he comes back. And I don't listen to his podcast on a regular basis, but I do occasionally, and it's gold. It's up there with the Joe Rogans of the world, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of
for sure.
So good deal. All right, man. What do you think we're going to see this weekend at Phoenix?
Again, a little nervous for the Cup side. The racing in the spring wasn't bad, but I think the drivers have really learned the cars a lot.
Sure.
I don't know if the champion's going to go out there and win the race like we've seen, but it's definitely possible with those four. The four that we got in there this year, they each have their own little story and background. I think they're awesome. All deserving.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I'll tell you, if Ross wasn't in it, I would have said, watch out for Ross Chastain to go play spoiler for the first time under this format. The fact that Ross is in it, I'm not going to be surprised if any four of them go out there and win. I'm sure Ross is probably the underdog from a Vegas perspective, from a numbers take. But that very well may be a good enough reason to go in and throw a little wager down on old Watermelon Man to get it done. But I think the like you mentioned earlier, as far as the package for short tracks, I can see where that hesitancy is there, and I'm sure it'll be there for the first two stages, no doubt, and then it'll be hopefully a go for broke situation like we saw this past weekend.
For sure. I will say, for a spoiler for the weekend, I wouldn't look too far past Chase Briscoe either. Won there in the spring, and that team's really been picking it up in the playoffs. And he might start off slow, and that they're going to be shifting a lot this weekend, and he seems to be the first one that mastered that early on. So yeah. I think he could get it done.
Well, and the fact that we had the first 5 playoff races were either won by a non-playoff driver or someone that had already been eliminated. I mean, this is the year for rules to be broken, if you will. So I'm not going to be surprised if all 3 series, someone from that's not in the Final Four, go out there, which, I mean, again, is just going to add to the incredible 2022 story. That's for sure.
For sure. Do you think old Ty Gibbs gets revenge from Brandon Jones this weekend, or?
I don't think so. I think he will want to go out there and do something, but I also think that there's a character at play, and that he may want to play off that narrative and be the bigger person. And if he can go out there and do it, I think he'll want to go out there and win that race and just be able to stick it to him from that regard, which I think that will speak heavier volumes than going out there and just dumping them. But I wouldn't be, I mean, hey, I ain't going to be surprised either way what happens there. So we'll, that's going to be very, very exciting to watch on Saturday to see what happens. What do you say, sir? You want to give me a couple picks here? Who do you? Who are your championship picks?
Yep. So in the trucks, I think Ty Majeski gets it done, and it'll be really well deserved for him too. His career's been kind of up and down, and he's a short track guy, and that team's just been on a roll the last 4 or 5 races. I think it'd be awesome for him.
Awesome. How about
really
Xfinity?
For that trend? I think Josh Berry too in Xfinity. Allgaier is going to be really, really hard to beat. And I feel like the only person that is going to be able to beat him is probably himself. And they've done that a lot this year. And really, he's done that in every championship race he's got in.
Sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and go with Barry.
I would love that Cinderella story. I talked about a little bit ago just how, a couple years ago we weren't even talking about him. Part-time ride with Junior Motorsports, gets the win at Martinsville. I mean, that would be an awesome. Again, just another incredible story to talk about and reference back to 2022. So I could get behind that all day. How about
and
Sunday?
For the cup side, I want Ross Chastain big time, but I think there's something about Christopher Bell's last 3-4 weeks that they're going to be tough to beat when their back's against the wall. So I think the 20 will get it done. Wouldn't it be crazy if Majeski, Chastain, and Barry all won the championships this year, though? All 3 relative underdogs that came from really nothing at one point. Their careers were pretty much over.
You just talked me into a parlay pick, sir.
Join the club. Mine's already in. So,
I mean, why not at this point? I would. At this point, I do want to see Ross go get it done. Like I said a little bit ago, I'm not going to be surprised out of either of those 4. I'm not going to be surprised if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish from those guys. I'm not going to be surprised if we have a late race restart. I mean, I could see this getting interesting here last 25 laps of this race. I'm also not going to be surprised if Kevin Harvick wants to just go and piss off NASCAR and bring back the old glory days of Kevin Harvick at Phoenix and just go dominate this thing just to piss everybody off either. So Like I said, nothing surprises me at this point. I'm along for the ride, and 3 incredible races this weekend.
For sure.
Jess, man, thank you so much for taking some time coming on the show. Thanks for the support over the years. Thanks for playing fantasy. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you, and thank you for coming on.
Yep. One last thing, just a big congratulations for your 300 episodes, and thank you, the community you've built with this podcast and given people like me something to look forward to during the midweek is awesome. So just thank you for everything. And I know you've gotten busier over the years, and it's just truly great to be part of the community that you've built with this thing. So keep her going.
That's why I'm here is stuff like that, man. Thank you very much. That touches the heart. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the racing, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Yes, sir. You too.
Take care. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, great to talk to Jess there, longtime fan and follower of the show. And let's get our last caller on, who is also a longtime listener, follower, supporter, all that good stuff. You will see a weekly tweet of his car when he's listening to the podcast, which is awesome. Welcome back to the show, Scott at 1985 Wagner. What's up, brother? How are you, man?
Oh, not too bad. Enjoying 30-some degree mornings up to the mid-70s afternoons. So
it has been
waiting for it to decide
warm.
To be fully fall.
Yeah, it is. I'm waiting for that shoe to drop because it is going to go from, like you said, 70s to 20s real quick. And, I'll just take it because I'm in Michigan and that's what you have to do. Oh
yeah,
that's where we're at. How's the car coming, man?
Oh, not too bad. I got the rear leaf springs on it, so maybe it'll quit trying to chew into my 17-inch wheels when I get around to putting it back on. So
excellent. And for the listeners, tell everybody what you got.
That's a work in progress 65 Mustang Coupe V8 car, 4-speed. It's just getting be built for a date night car for the wife, and when it gets done, then I can go whole ham on horsepower and build myself a Charger Ute.
Beautiful. You need to bring it up to the Woodward Dream Cruise one year, man, up here in good old Detroit.
Yeah, hopefully the reliability gets there. It's about as bad a fuel mileage as my daily driver. So
right. Oh, I love it. Well, man, what'd you think of the racing this weekend?
I tell you what, I can't believe what Gibbs did to Brandon.
Crazy.
And Brandon was just right. It's kind of like, Ty, I hope you realize that if Brandon can stop a junior car from going around him, he's probably not going to try very hard, especially if he knows they can catch him.
Yep.
So
yep.
He fails to realize having 3 teammates out there, he's probably going to have 1.
Right. Yes. That's the, I was blown away by it, to be honest with you. Like I talked about it a little earlier in the show, but I get wanting to win, and I get the individuality of the sport and your specific team, and that wins equal better rides, better sponsorships. But that's not something he necessarily may need to worry about right away. I mean, we all know the where he's going and what his future holds. And, that there are a few instances to where the team mentality comes into play. And, we all know it at Daytona and Talladega. And that's one of those other rare circumstances to where, the team mentality could have played a role and helped the team have a greater odds at getting a championship. And that's not what happened.
Yeah. Him doing it and not being very apologetic, doesn't surprise me. But when he starts throwing out biblical verses, it's kind of like, okay, you're just being a lot of arrogant here, Ty.
That was definitely interesting, to say the least. He very well may be our next Kyle Busch in the sport, in terms of someone that goes out there, gets it done, doesn't have a lot of popularity, and who knows, maybe 20 years from now we're all praising him. I don't know, but right now he is he's not helping his fan base. That is for sure. That's for sure.
No, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Xfinity race was good. A lot of passing, a lot of excitement. Like you said, other than that, last corner deal with Ty, I mean, there was a lot going on, everywhere on the track.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. What'd you think about Sunday? I mean, the talk of the night so far has been, 499 ho-hum laps, and no one really cares about those 499 laps right now.
No, like I said, Ross doing that instantly seen that. It's kind of like that is a top 3 finish, race moment. You have David Pearson and Petty crashing at the 76 Daytona and David getting his car restarted.
Sure.
You got the natural pass in the grass. It was never really a pass. And then you got Ross riding the wall. I mean, it's a top 3, NASCAR moment.
It is. It's a top 3 NASCAR moment. It's probably the top moment of 2022, which is just awesome because there's so many things, and I feel like a broken record, but it's worth repeating. So many awesome things to come out of 2022 from the number of different winners we've had. We have had some great races. The new car has delivered at some tracks. We've got some tire issues to figure out and some safety issues to figure out. But from an overall perspective, from a driver wins perspective, from a competition perspective, we've had some exciting things to talk about, and I look forward to the nostalgia that 2022 will bring us down the road.
Yeah, it's been great hearing, names like LaJoy and Kyle Weatherman, in the top 10, seeing them. The car did as advertised. It really did make a good equalizer. Some of the guys got up there on pit strategy, but most time you hear their name, it's because they stay out one lap to lead a lap under caution.
Sure.
But during the racing, you hear Kyle Weatherman, Corey LaJoy, and that stuff. And it's great. It's kind of like, this is going to help these guys get some sponsorship.
Absolutely.
Their names get said on national TV.
Right. Yes. And that's what it's all about, right? We don't try to hide the fact that money drives the sport and drives your ability to go run in the sport. And you nailed it right there. That will absolutely play a role for these guys. I mean, LaJoy almost picked up the win, and I think one of the plate tracks later on in the season here this year. Landon Castle came very close a couple times. And we got Josh Berry, who a couple years ago was part-time and people were like, who is this guy? And now he's going and running for a championship in a very short period of time, which is great. On the Cup side of things, I won't be surprised whoever wins the championship on Sunday. The Truck Series probably, which is always my favorite, has probably delivered the least for me this year. But that doesn't mean it wasn't bad. I just have high expectations. So it's been a phenomenal year to be a NASCAR fan, and I'm excited for what next year brings. Will some teams figure it out? Will they have to make enough changes to where it'll be another equal playing field again? That'll be something that will just keep us all glued to our seats for next year.
Exactly. And like I said, just the diversity, you're going to have your big things. You got Kyle Busch Motorsports going to Chevrolet, and everybody's going, oh, they're not going to have the Toyota backing. It's kind of like one person, one company to all the motors. It takes the brains to get the chassis set up.
Yep.
Those guys aren't going to care if it has a bow tie on that grill sticker.
No.
Or what it has. It's the people he has that set those trucks up that put KBM where it's at in the Truck Series.
Yes, I agree. I don't foresee that team having to, especially in the truck series. You know, it's one thing you make a manufacturer change at the Xfinity or Cup level, and it's not not to say that it's an easy transition, but knowing the resources that Kyle Busch will put behind it, knowing that it's the truck series to where, you know, outside of your top 8-10 teams that you know aren't going to have those resources, I don't foresee there being much lag in KBM next year in the truck series in terms of what they're able to go and do, you know, on the track. There's no doubt about that.
It'll just be interesting to see who he has holding the steering wheel, since, well, Corey Haim's going over to the old David Gilliland Racing because he's under Toyota, but I don't know if Nemechek's under Toyota.
I'm not gonna, don't quote me, but I think Nemechek might be making a full-time move to Xfinity next year. I could be wrong, but I think I may have saw something along those lines there. So
yeah, because it'll be interesting to see if Haley ends up taking a jump to Xfinity, since she's under Ford, and with Gilliland going to Toyota, she's got to go someplace.
Yes, I agree there. Alrighty, sir. How about some picks? Who's your championship pick for all three series?
Well, it's bad. I don't even remember who's in. It's the last truck race was how long ago?
I know. We got Majeski, Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, and Chandler Smith.
I think Zane's gonna pull out the surprise.
I think so too. Like I said earlier, between Zane, Ben Rhodes, I think it'll be one of those two. How about the Xfinity series, sir?
God, I'm so on the fence. I really think Allgaier can get it done this year, but the way Noah's been running, it's kind of like it's hard to know which of the two to go after. I think Ty has pissed so many people off that he's not going to get help from a lot of anybody.
No. He will have to beat every car on that track. There will be no assistance given to him. There'll be lap down cars that might hold him up. So
yeah, he's not going to have a lot of easy anything anytime in that race.
No, not at all.
And on the Cup side, you know, here's another tough one. Chase has been doing so this last round, really through the entire playoffs.
His wins and playoff points have helped get him to where he's at right now.
Yeah, Chris Bell, you know, he's on a roll, but I don't know if he can finish the deal. So I'm pretty much between Chastain, probably leaning towards Logano.
Fair enough.
Getting his second.
Fair enough. All righty, sir. Well, listen, man, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate the support. Thank you for being along for the ride and help counting down to episode 300. Hope you enjoy the holiday season and the last week of racing here, man.
So do I. Well, congratulations on making it almost to 300. I can't remember if you were much past 100 when I got on board.
Awesome.
So it's been great watching, you know, who you have on the show grow. The show has stayed the same. You know, because I know I was on when you were trying to get to, I think, the 2,000 listeners, and just the people you've had on, and you've kept the format the same. The listeners are involved. Like so many podcasts, yours is about the only racing podcast I listen to.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Because it's not people talking, they have the guests, and then they talk some more, and that's it.
I try to keep it fresh. We might do a couple shakeups next year, but nothing too crazy. You know, you can expect much of the same, and it's everyone like you that's been along for the ride, and that you know, gives me the energy and the reason to come and do this on Tuesday nights, sometimes Monday nights. But thank you, man. I really appreciate the kind words.
All right, thank you. Keep it going strong, Brown. You know, love listening to it on Tuesdays, and here next few weeks I'm not going to work on the car much. I've got a lot of other work related things going on and stuff. So no telling what kind of gratuitous Mustang pictures there will be, if much anything, here in the next few weeks.
No worries, man. Looking forward to it. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Take care, and congratulations again, Brandon.
Thanks. Appreciate you. We'll see ya.
Yep.
All right, Lap Traffic Nation. Let's wrap this thing up with a little Lap Traffic Fantasy. Just a reminder, get your picks in by 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The 4 of you that are left, keep the Twitter interaction up using hashtag LTFantasy. I am very excited. I've got 2 out of the 4. And no, it was not me that made it. Kristen beat me out by just a couple points. I missed it by 9. But joining me on the line right now is Kim James and Kristen Hagelin. Ladies, how are you?
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm great.
Welcome.
How are you, Brandon?
I'm good. It's podcast night, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for joining. First of all, Kristen, I mean, I don't know. There's been actually, you know what? There was dominance. Like what you had this year, but not quite to the level that you had this year. Season 2, Chloe Yunker, good friend of the show, Brad Yunker's daughter, kicked some major ass and led for a very long time, but it was not under this format. So under this format, you just went on one hell of a rampage, and you deserved to be in the Final Four, and I'm glad you're here. So congratulations.
Yeah, I'm glad my lucky horseshoe got me this far. It was pure luck.
Hey, I don't know. I mean, luck happens once in a while. I mean, to be lucky for the whole damn season, I mean, I think you know what you're doing. So we'll see what happens. Kim, I'm glad someone from the James household is represented as well in the Final Four too. I know Dave was bummed he missed the cut.
Yeah, I said something to him. He sent me a text. He's like, "You're in," with exclamation points. And because I hadn't looked at anything yet. I didn't know coming out of this weekend. I just didn't know how it was going to shake out. And I'm like, "Well, I'm really sorry you didn't make it." And he's like, "It's fine." But yeah, I'm glad. I'm excited to be in it. This is the first time I've made it, so it's fun.
Well, so here's what could be very interesting is that he won it back in 2019, so there could be 2 James members on the Legacy Trophy that
there you go
updated. So that would be very cool. Let's see there's a couple different possibilities that could shape up here. And here is the one thing: whoever does win, nobody in what will be next year will be year 7 of the fantasy league. No one has gone back to back. So that will be an open challenge to either of the 2 of you if you happen to win, to see if you can repeat. So we'll see what happens. And there will be an invite going out to whomever does win the championship to come on the show on episode 300 and talk some smack to everybody else, and we'll have some fun for a few minutes. So we'll look forward to that. So our Final Four. Kim, Kristen, and then Henry and Steven. I think you scared the guys away, ladies. They don't want any part of you, I don't think.
Well, I'm hoping I'll winner this year. So
there you go. I love it. Oh, good times.
Yeah. When I made my picks this week, it was funny. I asked David, I had a pick that I was going with, and he wouldn't tell me who he was taking. Well, as it turned out, he was taking the same driver that I was thinking about taking, which I ended up not taking. It was Martin Truex.
Nice.
So yeah, I got out of that one. So when he asked me who I was taking, and I told him I took Byron, and he's like, "Oh, good luck with that one." Well, okay. Well, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. What do you think of that pick now, David?
You off. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's very good. What'd you think of Martinsville? It was crazy. If Dinger would have been able to finish in the top 3 or 4, I think I do make the Final Four. We've got a different ball game at that point, but we had Ty Gibbs doing some crazy things. We had Ross Chastain doing crazy things. Did you guys enjoy this past weekend?
Yeah, as a Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain fan, it was the best ending to the race I could have.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yes. I've watched the replay of that probably 100 times.
I am with you. I was talking to Donna a couple minutes ago, and I said the same thing to her. I go, I watched that replay over and over again. I've watched it a couple times today just so it was fresh when I was doing the show, and it's unbelievable. It is one of the most remarkable things that we'll be talking about that for a long time.
Yep, I ordered the T-shirt to remember it.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I'll have to check into that. I'm sure I'm not going to say anything that hasn't already been said a million times, but it truly was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I mean, it was just like, and I've seen it described. It was like total animation. When he got up next to the wall, he just shot around like out of a rocket.
Yeah,
I've never seen it. It looked truly freakish. But it was, I was like, what? My husband and I were watching the race at the same time, and we're like, what just happened there? It was like totally unbelievable. And I'm just like everybody else, I'm sure that everybody's reaction was like that.
It's going to be one of those moments that we are just going to reference over and over again for years to come, which is, it's cool to have witnessed that, that's a very cool piece of history that we're going to just constantly be referring to, years to come. The only thing I tweeted a picture of it out, was like, it just reminded me of playing an arcade game and you just hit like boost mode and you just slingshot past everybody else. It was very cool to see. And now the thing is it's going to be, well, I hope they don't put any restrictions on that, because I think it's awesome. It's a risk versus reward move. And if it comes down to next year, Martinsville, somebody being in that position, I want them to have that same opportunity, and maybe it works again and maybe it doesn't. And that just adds to the excitement level for me. So I loved everything about it.
Yeah, I hope they don't rule. I hope they let it happen again sometime.
Absolutely. Because there's not too many other places that it'll work. You're not doing that at a high bank track. This was the perfect track to be able to do something like that at. So I loved it. All right. Ladies, what do you say? You ready to make some picks?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. After an incredible 2022 season, we are headed out west to close the season out and to crown 3 champions in all 3 NASCAR series and the Lap Traffic Fantasy League. Will this weekend replicate this past weekend at Martinsville? Something tells me we might see some crazy drama when the dust is all settled. Who do you have left to take in the league to go trophy hunting? Will dark horses cement their name in the history books? We will find out this weekend. I'm not making picks because I didn't make it, so my picks do not matter. So I will start with Kristen. You led the season for a very long time. Who is your pick for the Truck Series?
I'm going with Chandler Smith.
Chandler Smith. I like that pick. That's solid there. All right, Miss Kim, who do you got?
I think I'm going to go with Zane Smith.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, over to the Xfinity Series, ladies. I'll start with Kim for the Xfinity Series. Kim, who are you going with?
I think I'm going to go, I would take the 9 if I had him, but I don't have him to use. So I think I'm going to go with 7. I think I'm going to go with Allgaier.
Allgaier. I love it. I love it. He's due for a championship, so I don't disagree with that pick at all. Kristen, who are you going to go with for the Xfinity Series?
I'm in the same boat. I want to pick the 9, but I don't have him, so I got to go with the 7.
Allgaier. All right. I'm interested to see who Henry and Steven pick. Okay. The Cup Series, Kim, who are you going with?
Logano. He's been my pick. He's been my pick from the beginning. I saved him, hoping he would make it, hoping I would make it. So yeah, I'm taking the 22.
Awesome. All right, Kristen.
And the guy I got left is the 9 of Elliott.
Ooh, beautiful.
Ooh.
All right, we got two drivers going for it, 2 ladies going for it. I love it. Kristen, Kim, thank you so much for playing in the league. Thank you for the support on social media. thank you for taking the time out. Best of luck to you this weekend, and we'll see if one of you are getting some laps. Well, Kristen, you're already getting a trophy for your segment win, but we'll see if you're getting another one. Kim, we'll see if you take some hardware home, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Great. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 297 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. What a fun show this was. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Twitter @LapTrafficPC. Be on the lookout for a new contest, giveaway, all that good stuff. Huge thank you to Donna, Jess, Scott, Kim, Kristen, Neudorff, Studwell. Hey, we're going to be back next week and do the same thing, and we're going to be talking about some championships in NASCAR and Lap Traffic Fantasy. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast.